On the slopes above the Douro estuary, Porto is a historic mercantile city with business and trade written into its very name. The center is a World Heritage Site, and you'll be struck by how rich and varied this heritage can be. It boasts one of the world's most impressive collections of Art Nouveau buildings, many still in use today. The second largest city in Portugal, but not second placed in terms of beauty by any means, Porto is teeming with exciting history and culture. Today we share the top 10 best things to do in Porto so you can plan a trip and experience all the exciting attractions and activities this beautiful city has to offer. Starting with number 10, Cais da Ribeira. A little chaotic and great fun to explore, Porto's riverside area is a very picturesque piazza where tourists and locals mingle. You'll have a perfect shot of the iconic Luís I Bridge from here, and if you duck through the arcades, there's a confusing maze of steep streets and stairways between pastel-painted houses in varying states of repair. The Cais da Ribeira has been spruced up a little in the last few years, and information boards have been installed to tell you about this district's characters and businesses when it was Porto's hive of commerce. At number 9 is the Luís I Bridge. An industrial symbol for Porto, this twin-level metal arched bridge opened in 1886. It was conceived by the German engineer Theophil Seyrig, who co-founded the Eiffel Company. The bridge crosses the steep, rocky banks of the Douro and rises to almost 45 meters. There's a bird's-eye view of the Cais da Ribeira from the top level, also used by Porto's light railway. At number 8, Palácio da Bolsa. Porto's old stock exchange was built next to the Church of São Francisco after its cloisters burned down during the Siege of Porto in 1832. The exterior was finished by 1850 and has a neoclassical design, while the eclectic interiors were decorated right up to the start of the 20th century. You have to go in to comprehend the richness of the sculpture, decorative carvings, plasterwork, frescoes, chandeliers, and tiles. The stuccoed Moorish Revival Soleil Arabe is almost overwhelming, while an octagonal metal and glass roof lights the monumental Patio dos Nacos courtyard. At number 7, Clérigos Church. The 75.6-meter-high tower of this Baroque church can be spotted from most parts of Porto and was the tallest building in the country when it was completed. It's a beautiful monument, with delicate carvings all the way up and a clock so high you need to take a few steps back to read it properly. This was the last section of the church to be completed and dates to 1763, with a design inspired by the campaniles of Tuscany. At number 6 in our list, Parque de Cidade. The Parque de Cidade is Portugal's largest urban park, spreading over 83 hectares and going as far west as the 17th century Forte de São Francisco Xavier by the Atlantic. After hours of zigzagging through crowds, if you need somewhere to stroll or coast on a bike, come for these cool pine groves and abundant rolling lawns. A motif throughout the park is stacks of rectangular granite stones that look like ancient foundations. At number 5, Douro River Trip. The Douro has traveled almost 900 kilometers from its source in Castile and Leon to reach the Atlantic at Porto. And most people who spend some time on or next to the Douro agree that there's something special about the river. Around the Ribeira, hour-long cruises are offered for around €15, and your guide will give you some insights about the port warehouses on the south bank, the Porto landmarks that soar high on the north bank, and the various bridges. Upriver on the eastern limit of the city is the Maria Pia Bridge, 10 years older than the Luís I and built by Gustav Eiffel. At number 4, Porto Cathedral. This stern-looking building calls the shots from the oldest part of Porto. You'll arrive on the Terreiro de Sé, an esplanade that lets you survey the city's rooftops and monuments like the Clérigos Church Tower. Despite many changes, the cathedral has kept big pieces of its original 12th century architecture. It would have had a defensive role when it was built, as you may tell from the buttresses, arrow loops and crenellations. At number 3 in our list, Peneda-Gerês National Park. While there are many national parks in Portugal, Peneda-Gerês is special for its remote location and mostly untouched natural habitat near the Spanish border. This means visitors can expect to find lush forest scenery, crystal-clear rivers with the occasional waterfall, stunning rock formations, picturesque mountain villages like Lindoso or the spa town of Gerês, and many outdoor activities to keep you busy. Whether after a chilled-out jeep tour where you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the sights, or something a tad more thrilling like hiking, kayaking, or canyoning. At number 2, Jardins do Palácio de Cristal. This was the site of Porto's Crystal Palace, which lasted from 1865 to 1961 and was modeled on the monument in London. These gardens were devised to complement that palace and were landscaped by the German Emil David. The gardens are planted with ginkgo, pines, camellias, rhododendrons and beech trees, and your path might be crossed by a peacock or two. At the center of the park, the old palace was replaced by the semi-spherical Super Boc Arena, Pavilhão Rosa Moda, which hosts cultural and sports events. Check out the number 1 places in our list, Matosinhos Beach. With all your attention drawn to the Douro and the Ribeira, you might neglect Porto's beaches. If you want to include some outlying beaches a few minutes from the city, you have at least 10 to choose from, many of which fly the blue flag yearly. The most convenient is Matosinhos, just past the Parque de Cidade, with a massive bay that seems boundless when the tide is out. If you're happy to travel a little, don't rule out the town of Miramar, which has a pretty 17th century chapel on the rocks between its huge golden sandy beaches. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite things to do in Porto? Is there something we missed? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to Greenable if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.